Loyalty can be very, very dangerous. Now you see, I live in Arizona. In fact, I live in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a large city, something like the 5th largest in the country. But you have to understand that with the urban environment, especially the Southwest urban environment, comes a lot of gang violence, dominance games, a lot of machismo, and a lot of it is done in the name of loyalty. Now I want you to understand something. Loyalty in and of itself, like most things, is neutral. And that neutrality can be waged in many different ways. It's much like the Force in Star Wars. There isn't really a dark side or a light side. The Force is simply the Force, and one can use it aggressively for personal gain. One can use it benevolently for the common good. The same can be said of loyalty and many other virtues, in fact. So I want you to understand that loyalty only goes so far. Now what I mean by that is that you honor your contracts. This is what some people will call duty. But you honor your contracts and your relationships. When you owe somebody, you do what you need to fulfill that. When you love somebody, you stick by them. You remain loyal. However, it is foolish and irresponsible to remain loyal to a fault, to hold that loyalty while someone else walks all over you, while somebody else is using you for their personal gain, while somebody else is taking advantage of your loyalty. In marketing, they talk about brand loyalty, customer loyalty. They are trying to buy your loyalty. It's how business works. There's nothing wrong with that if they're offering equivalent exchange, which is always a perceived value. But if they're offering equivalent exchange, then they've earned the loyalty. But I want to assure you that loyalty is earned. Blood relations do not demand loyalty. Any kind of circumstantial deal does not require loyalty. Anything that was outside of your control to begin with does not merit loyalty. Loyalty is in and of itself a transactional ideal. And that means that there are two sides of the equation. In return for your loyalty, you should be getting something back. Once again, we're talking perceived value here, and that is extremely individual. It's very hard to pin value down to any kind of objective quantity. But you have to understand that for your loyalty to be earned, you should be getting something back. It should be transactional in nature. Because that's how we maintain balance, is through transaction. And once again, this could be said of many other things. Now, charitable loyalty is commendable, provided you have the resources to maintain charitable loyalty. There is nothing wrong with charitable loyalty. But understand that resources are always finite, and you have to understand how to manage your resources. You see, if somebody keeps dragging you into things and you stick by them because of some loyalty, you need to understand that if you're being dragged into things over and over again, you either need to, one, stand your ground, become an anchor and do not let them drag you anywhere, you become a limiter on them. Or 2, I lost my train of thought, and I'll come back to it. But the overall point is that you don't do dumb things out of loyalty. You don't do things that are going to endanger your livelihood, that are going to endanger your life or your loved ones' lives in the name of loyalty. Loyalty is a very, very powerful force. You see, we're humans, we all have the need to belong. This is where much of the gang culture comes from, the need to belong. It is natural for children to leave their parents. It is natural for children to grow into independent adults, but we are still social creatures. And as society has grown further and further apart, as the world and society evolves, we have replaced our tribe with long-distance networks. And those networks tend to be less personal. They tend to be more vague, more abstract. And so people tend to be more isolated. And in places in the world where perhaps the abstract network idea is not so prevalent, there are other factors in place. Poverty and the desire to get rich or to gain power. Broken families and somebody looking for a new family. There are always going to be distractions from the way things perhaps ought to be. And I say perhaps because there are no hard and fast rules to the way things ought to be. But when people start creating new personas and creating new alliances and loyalties out of lack of something else, when they're doing it as a response to something negative, as opposed to creating something positive, they increase the risk factor to the individuals involved. They oftentimes increase the level of chaos involved, and it very quickly, very often, turns into something violent, socially reprehensible, generally harmful, non-beneficial to the majority of people involved. And so you create these new tribes, these new families, these new relationships, these new transactions, over pretenses that have no perceivable merit to anyone except for perhaps those who are inside, and oftentimes those who are inside of it are lacking perspective. And far be it from me to tell anybody what their perspective should be, because we all walk this path relatively alone. But like I said, we are social creatures, and we need that joined togetherness. We need family. It doesn't have to be blood. It doesn't have to be cultural. It simply needs to be people loving each other, caring for each other, being compassionate towards each other, helping each other out. In some cases, pooling resources. In other cases, restricting resources. It's about growth. It's about support. It's about health, really. We are always individuals first and social second. And this hard and fast loyalty that people demand sometimes, especially within gang-type relations, denies the individual the chance to be the individual. they're always representing something else, someone else. And it's okay to be in alliance with people. It is certainly okay to be in allegiance with others to a point. The reason I don't fly the flag of the trainers that I've trained with is because I'm not interested in following their rule book. I have my own way of doing things and my own methodology, and I have not yet received a letter or a phone call or an email saying, look, we really need you in our organization. Because the fact is that they take care of their business. They are individuals first. They're taking care of their business, and they're allowing me to be an individual to take care of mine. And while I feel a great amount of respect for these people who have helped me in my journey, while I feel a great amount of admiration and love and compassion for these people, they are not beholden to me, and I am not beholden to them. It's simply the nature of our transaction. Now, does this mean that you don't rush to somebody's aid when you see they're in trouble? Well, no, that's foolish. Compassion is compassion, and if you care about somebody, you help them. And if they are in trouble, you help them. Because compassion is part of being a social creature. But understand that your resources are limited, and there are always multiple options, and you need to be able to think clear-headedly, calmly, decipher the options, pick the best answer, and act on it. Loyalty is okay when it serves all parties involved. Loyalty is extremely dangerous when you allow it to drag you into troubled waters, to turn a phrase, that you would not normally have tread alone. Your individuality, your freedom, your liberty, and the ability to make your own decisions, to make your own choices, to fly your own flag, is worth ever so much more than that sense of belonging. And anybody who says that you can't belong with them without flying their flag is probably not worth being loyal to. I'm going to leave it there, and I will talk to you guys next time. Good journey.